Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Today, inshallah, we're going to go over the second half of idgham. So last class, we went over idgham without ghunna. That was um, when you have a letter that comes after a nun sukun. So what you do is you skip the nun sukun and you go to the next letter and you put a shadda on it. And this only applies to lam and ra. Um, so So if you have a lam or ra without, and before that you have a nun sukun, or a tanween, then you just skip the nun sound and go straight to the lam or ra. Um, and we went over a few examples in the last class. Now, today we're going to be going over the second half of idgham, which is with the ghunna. If you recall in the first lesson, I believe, we discussed how anytime you see a meme with a shadda or a noon with a shadda on top of it, then you're going to pronounce it with something that we call ghunna. And what that is it's when you make the sound of the letter come out of your nose and you hold it for 2 counts. So you count for 2 while doing it. So for example, inna, you pronounce it inna. Um, so that's how the ghunna works. Now, so in this case, if you see one of the letters of idgham with ghunna, and before it there's a nun sukun or a tanween, the first part of what you do is the same thing. You skip the nun sound. But then it's the next part that's different from the previous rule, the idgham without ghunna. What you do is you pronounce that letter with a ghunna. For example, so the letters for this rule are, you can find them in the word yanmu. So if you have a ya, a nun, a mim, or a waw, after a nun sukun, then you pronounce that with ghunna. For example, let's say there's an ya'mal, right? So you spell it that way. When you're reciting with tajweed, you would recite it an ya'mal. Or maybe an nu'minu. It would be an nu'minu, and so on with the rest of them. Now, the only time this does not apply is when you have a letter of idgham with a nun sukun before it, and it's in the same word. And this only comes up a few times in the Quran. Only a few words are like this. One word that you've probably all heard before is dunya, right? You're not going to recite that with idgham. That's you just recite it how you normally would. You recite dunya instead of dunya, which is how you would if you were pronouncing it with idgham. So first practice. Who wants to recite these few words for us? Let me open up the participants. You can either raise your hand or, yeah, if you can raise your hand and just hit the raise hand button, then I'll see and I can call on you. Sam Wise, I haven't seen you here before.
Sorry, I forgot to change my name.
No problem.
I think I would read this. أو كصيب من السماء.
Okay, and where was the idgham with ghunna here?
Would it be on the meme?
Yes, exactly. So recite that one more time and try to make sure you elongate the idgham with ghunna.
أو كصيب من السماء.
That's not very good. All right, and I have to click on this. Next one, or previous, what happened? There you go. Who would like to recite these few words? Sister Layla, please go ahead. Okay, so where was the idgham with ghunna here?
I think it was the ra.
Okay, so you're half correct. So lam and ra were the 2 letters for idgham without ghunna. So this was a little trick question. And I'm not doing it to embarrass anybody. I hope nobody feels bad about it. I just want to make sure that people are able to differentiate between different things. So in the case of idgham without ghunna, what you do is you skip the nun sound, and then you just put a shadda on the next letter, which is pretty easy here because there's already a shadda on the ra. So do you want to try reciting it one more time, sister?
ثمرات رزقا.
So in this case, try not to hold it so long, right? Because it might sound like you're holding it for 2 counts. Instead, you just put emphasis on the ra. So ثمرات الرزق. It's just a little bit of a punch on it, but not much more than that. One more time.
ثمرات رزقا.
Very good, Ahsan. Thank you, sister. And next one. Brother Amin, please go ahead.
جميعا ثم.
Okay, and where was the idgham with ghunna here?
The meme at the end.
At the end. No, there was no. That's not it. So there's a ghunna because there's always a ghunna on mim mushaddad. But there's no nun sukun before it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see now. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in this case, there's no idgham with ghunna here. There's no idgham at all. So we have a tanween here, but the next letter isn't from either of our sets. So it's not from yanmu. It's also not lam or ra. So there's no idgham here at all. We'll learn this rule in the next few classes, inshallah. And last one. Musa, please go ahead. Very good. Ahsant. And where was it?
On the
Very good. Perfect. Great. And that's it for today's lesson. Okay. And it looks like everybody's already started typing their names. Perfect. So, Brother Muhammad Ibrahim, can you please get us started with recitation?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Qasim tilka ayatul kitabil mubin la'allaka baghi'un nafsaka alla yakunu mu'minin inna ننزل عليهم من السماء آيات فظلت أعناقهم لها خاضعين.
Ahsant. Very good. Thank you. And Ali, please go ahead.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وما من الرحمن محدث إلا كانوا عنهم معرضين فقد كذبوا فسيأتيهم ما كانوا به يستهزئون أولم يروا إلى الأرض كم
أنبتنا
فيها من كل زوج كريم.
Ahsant. Very good, Ali. Thank you. And Sister Layla, please go ahead.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن في ذلك لآيات وما كان أكثرهم مؤمنين وإن ربك لهو العزيز الرحيم وإذا نادى ربك
So sister, in that case, when you see the ya with the small alif or dagger alif on top of it, that ya is basically just an alif. That's Said might know more about why they write it like that, but so that's pronounced idnada. So there's really no ya there.
Okay. وإذ نادى ربك موسى يا
So that's the same thing with Musa. So that's not a ya either. So it's Rabbuka Musa.
ربك موسى أن ائتي القوم الظالمين قوم فرعون على يتقون قال ربي إني أخاف أن يكذبون.
So the last bit, there was an idgham there with Khunna. Can you recite it one more time? See if you can find it.
أن يكذبون.
Yeah. So we would skip the noon in that case. So it would be أن يكذبون.
أن يكذبون.
Very good.
With regard to the ya, sometimes an alif sound is written with a ya, and that's usually because the original letter was a ya, and then it's turned into an alif for pronunciation. And one reason is also that in some cases there's different ways to pronounce it. So sometimes some people used to pronounce it eh rather than ah. And you can even see that sometimes in some recitations of the Quran. You know, you say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Wad-duha wal-layli idha saja. But that can also be recited Wad-duha wal-layli idha saja. And that's not wrong. So for those reasons, sometimes an alif is written with a ya, but you'll see that dagger alif, and you can just pronounce it like an alif. So you can say إِذْ نَادَى رَبُّكَ مُوسَى and not pronounce it with a ya sound.
Thank you, Sayyid. Yeah, you got the one. Great. And Brother Amin, please go ahead.
ويضيق صدري ولا ينطلق لساني فأرسل إلى هارون ولهم علي ذنب فأخاف أن يقتلون قال كلا فاذهبا بآياتنا إنا معكم مستمعون فأتيا فرعون فقولا إنا رسول رب العالمين.
Excellent. Very good. Thank you, brother. And Brother Zain, please go ahead.
أن أرسل معنا بني إسرائيل قال ألم نربك فينا وليدا ولبثت فينا من عمرك سنين وفعلت فعلتك التي فعلت وأنت من الكافرين.
Excellent. Very good. Thank you. And Muhammad H, please go ahead.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم قال فعلتها إذا وأنا من الضالين ففررت منكم لما خفتكم فوهب لي ربي حكما وجعلني من المرسلين وتلك نعمة تمنها علي أن أبدت بني إسرائيل قال فرعون وما رب العالمين.
Ahsant. Very good. Thank you, Muhammad. And Sister Masuma, please go ahead.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم قال رب السماوات والأرض وما إن كنتم موقنين قال لمن حوله ألا تستمعون قال ربكم ورب آبائكم الأولين قال إن رسولكم الذي أرسل إليكم لمجنون قال رب المشرق والمغرب وما بينهما إن كنتم عاقلون.
Ahsant. Very good, sister. Thank you. And Musa, please go ahead.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قال لئن اتخذت إلها غيري لأجعلنك من المسجونين قال أولو جئتك بشيء
One more time.
قال أولو
Very good.
جئتك بشيء مبين قال فأت به إن كنت من الصادقين فألقى عصاه فإذا هي ثعبان مبين.
Ahsant. Very good. Thank you, Musa. And Sister Hania, please go ahead.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. ونزع يده فإذا هي بيضاء للناظرين قال للملأ حوله إن هذا لساحر عليم يريد أن يخرجكم من أرضكم بسحره فماذا تأمرون.
Ahsant. Very good, sister. Thank you. And Brother Hamad, please go ahead.
قالوا أرجه وأخاه وابعث في المدائن حاشرين يقوك بكل سحار عليم فجمع السحرة لميقات يوم معلوم وقيل للناس هل كنتم مجتمعون.
Ahsant. Very good, Hamad. Thank you. And Brother Reza, please go ahead.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم لعلنا نتبع السحرة إن كانوا هم الغالبين فلما جاء السحرة قالوا لفرعون أئن لنا لأجرا إن كنا نحن الغالبين قال نعم وإنكم إذا لمن المقربين قال لهم موسى ألقوا ما أنتم ملقون.
Ahsan. Very good, Reza. Thank you. And I think that's it. I think everyone's had a chance to recite. Say, do you have any insights from these few pages we've recited? Would anybody else like to go one more time?
Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted.
Oh, no problem.
Thank you, Brother Iman, for your tajweed lesson and for all of you who recited. I had been talking and didn't realize that you couldn't hear me. So this surah, it tells us the story of Prophet Musa alayhi salam. And Prophet Musa is the prophet mentioned most in the Quran. In different surahs, in different ways, his story is mentioned. And one of the reasons for that is that it took incredible courage for Prophet Musa alayhi salam to go alone, or we can say Prophet Musa and his brother Harun alayhi salam, they were alone in front of Fir'aun, and Fir'aun was the most powerful government of that time. And they stood up and they conveyed a message of Tawheed. And you might think that they would have been destroyed, but two things happened. One, Allah protected them, their person. And two, we still remember and honor Musa alayhi salam and Harun today. And not just Muslims, but also Christians and Jews, and even some people who are not religious, but they admire the beauty and the power of that story. So in two ways, Allah protected and honored Prophet Musa. He protected his life at the time, and he protected his message and his honor afterwards. That's a lesson for us. So we do have some volunteers. Iman, if you'd like to maybe have people recite one verse each.
Sure, sounds good. I believe we're on verse 44 now. Muhammad and Rahim, please go ahead.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فألقوا إبا
So this is
هبا
Muhammad. So this is pronounced fa'alqa'u because you see there's a
فألقوا
sukun. Yeah, very good.
فألقوا هبالهم فإيسيهم وقالوا بعزة فرعون إنا لنحن الغالبون.
Ahsan. Very good, Muhammad. Thank you. And Sister Hania, please go ahead.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. فألقى موسى عصاه فإذا هي تخاف ما يأفكون فألقي السحرة ساجدين.
Ahsan. Very good, sister. Thank you. And Hamad, please go ahead.
قالوا آمنا برب العالمين رب موسى وهارون.
Ahsan. Very good. Thank you. And Sister Masuma, please go ahead.
قال آمنتم له قبل أن آذن لكم إنه لكبيركم الذي علمكم السحر فلسوف تعلمون لأقطعن أيديكم وأرجلكم من خلاف ولأصلبنكم أجمعين.
Ahsan. Very good. Thank you, sister. And Musa, please go ahead.
Can we come back to him?
Sure. Yes. So Brother Zain, please go ahead.
قالوا لا ضير إنا إلى ربنا منقلبون إنا نطمع أن يغفر لنا ربنا خطايانا أن كنا أول المؤمنين.
Ahsant. Very good. Thank you. And Amin, please go ahead.
وأوحينا إلى موسى أن أسري بعبادي إنكم متبعون فأرسل فرعون في المدائن حاشرين.
Ahsant. Very good. Thank you. And Ali Ibrahim, please go ahead. Ali Ibrahim, are you there? Sorry, Ali, were you reciting? Your voice isn't coming through very well. Ahsant. Sorry, you go ahead, finish that, the last verse. Ahsant. Very good. Thank you. And Musa, can you please finish the page for us?
Sorry, which verse are we on?
57.
57. Okay. فأخرجناهم من جنات وعيون وكنوز ومقام كريم كذلك وأورثناها بني إسرائيل فأتبعوهم مشرقين.
Ahsant. Thank you very much. Inshallah, I look forward to seeing everybody tomorrow.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu